Now, imagine my surprise when I wake up in the morning to find an article written by Kotaku about me. Really poked the bear on this one, didn't you? And while it does stroke my ego slightly, I think that there's a lot of fear behind the discussions that are surrounding Space Marine 2, Black Myth Wukong, trends in modern gaming, and there were so many misrepresentations of the things that I was talking about, the concerns that I was bringing up in my video. Space Marine 2 is a reminder of what we lost, and I have to respond to that. Look, I'm not on anybody's side here. I'm on my own. I make videos talking about games that I want to play, talking about things that I want to see in games in the future, talking about games that I love. It just so happens that there's a bunch of people that agree with it and share those same tastes, and they watch the videos. So how does a game, a video, an Asmongold reaction, and a comment lead to games media going scrambling? Well, I guess we're going to find out. Mountains out of molehills, that's what qualifies as news today. Twitter and gaming news sites have been flooded with parroted responses from IGN, Kotaku, PC Games N, and more, wanting confirmation and details for a YouTube comment left on Asmongold's reaction to my video. This comment in question was seemingly made by the CEO of Saber Interactive, who said, "Hey man, CEO of Saber here. I love your videos. When we signed the deal to make Space Marine 2, all I wanted was a throwback game. We had the chance to work on something which by its nature was old school. I can't even comprehend many of the current games that we play these days. They're too complex and too much of an investment. We worked on Halo back in the day, and that game could be distilled down to the simplest of shooting loops, but it was entirely addicting. That is what we wanted to recapture. I hope that games like Space Marine 2 and Wukong are the start of a reversion to a time when games were simply about fun and immersion. I spent some time as chief operating officer at Embracer, and I saw games that made me want to cry with their overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. We just want to do some glory kills and get the heart rate up a little. For me, that's what games should be about." A relatively innocuous comment that resonated with the dialogue between my video and Asmongold's reaction. They aimed to make something that was old school by nature, simple, and something that didn't feel like it needed to be an investment, hearkening back to Halo and how it didn't need to have any live service trappings to be successful or addictive. It just had to be a good shooter with simple loops. I can attest to this as I've logged thousands of hours into Halo 1, 2, 3, and especially ODST. Man, I went hard on that one. And still to this day, I haven't invested that kind of time into any other shooter. Nothing is more demotivating than logging into a game and seeing there's a new battle pass, new weapons, and knowing that you don't have the time to unlock them. Knowing that if you have a life, a job, a wife, or heck, you just want to play other games, you're just going to fall further and further behind unless you pull out that credit card. The comment continued with hopes that Space Marine 2 and Wukong would be the first laid bricks on a path back to when gaming was more about simple fun and immersion, confessing that while COO at Embracer, they were sick of the overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. Now, this is the part that journalists in the game industry is going to take issue with. You're not supposed to say that out loud, especially as an established studio. This is a conversation way too complex to explore, and it's better off being ignored or pretending like it doesn't exist at all. Otherwise, we might be seen like we're siding with the opposition. In an article written by Ethan Gach of Kotaku, he explains more in an article titled "Why Space Marine 2's Exec's YouTube Comment Became a Lightning Rod." Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, made by Saber Interactive, is the sequel to a beloved 2011 shooter that has been praised for, among other things, feeling like an old-school Xbox 360 era game. But some have marshaled that classic mystique into a rebuke of modern games that don't conform to certain views that they have about who gaming is for and what it needs to be good. A week ago, YouTuber Legendary Drops posted a video called "Space Marine 2 is a Reminder of What We Lost," in which he praised the game for its gruesome combat, beautiful presentation, and celebration of the Warhammer 40k world and lore. He tried to juxtapose it with modern games that are either live service hamster wheels or single-player experiences that feel narratively convoluted or full of bloated gameplay systems. He also talked about the game oozing with so much masculinity that I feel like I've been in a desert for the last few years, and how it has themes that nobody wants to go near, like for courage and honor, for brotherhood, for the Emperor. Legendary Drops went on to praise the limited banter among characters, calling out games eschewing simple good and evil characters and more stoic dialogue. The video didn't blow up until a few days later when YouTuber Asmongold posted a nearly hour-long reaction to it, agreeing with most of Legendary Drops' points and elaborating on some of them. The problem is not that modern games have complex characters. The problem is their idea of complex characters is a self-indulgent loser that doesn't have any charisma.
Problem is not that they have complex characters. The problem is that their idea of a complex character is a self-indulgent loser that doesn't have any charisma. That's the reason why. Like, I remember, like, I had to read The Catcher in the Rye, and I hated that book so much. And I feel like the reason why I hated the book is because I thought the main character, like Holden Caulfield or whatever, was the biggest simp, loser, pussy bitch that I had ever, like, it's just such a loser. Like, and that's it. Holden's a piece of shit. Yeah, he's a loser bitch. And I don't want to read that. I don't want to see that. And I bet the people that fucking write stuff like, Dustborn or whatever, they love that. They think that's great.
Ethan continues with, there's a two-step that happens in both assessments of Space Marine 2. Each argument conflates modern gaming trends that many players find exhausting with a more recent and boutique reactionary backlash against games accused of shoehorning progressive values into their narratives. These accusations are made whenever a title dares to showcase diverse characters or tell a story that doesn't solely revolve around the straight white male that's traditionally centered in video game box art. Now, I'll admit this clapback and fact check is more or less for my own ego, but my video was well over 200,000 views before Asmongold posted a reaction to it. You should probably fact check a little bit before you post things just to be able to pad your word count in your articles. Now, I will give you some points because you at least mentioned me in your article. IGN and PC Games End didn't even bother doing that. But with that said, this article and this discussion, this argument that they're having right here, this is nothing more than minimizing criticism through straw manning. That line that they used, these accusations are made when someone dares to showcase diverse characters or tell a story that doesn't revolve around the straight white male. What the fuck are you talking about? That has nothing to do with what we talked about in that video, or even what Asmongold brought up. What you're doing here is trying to go for the easy answer. Dog whistle, grifter, bigot, whatever. What? Just throw that one out there, walk away. You don't even need to have the difficult discussion, right? Because it is a difficult discussion for you, isn't it? Because diverse games, brave games to you, are nothing more than stereotypes. Let's throw a hip-hop soundtrack behind Yasuke when he's in combat. Let's give colored hair to the gays or ambiguous characters. Let's give, I can't believe this one. Let's give an afro to a black character in Concord, make it where her power is running fast, and throw some space-style looking Jordans on her. It's generic, it's fake, it's transparent, we can see through it, nobody wants it. We know you don't care, we know they don't care. It's all about money at the end of the day. You know what's brave? Making a character about who they are rather than what they are. The article continues with Asmongold bringing up Dustborn, a recent action-adventure indie about a band traveling across America, is specifically a reference to that. The game and the team behind it became such a target of anti-woke reactionaries online that the studio had to put up a statement. Rather than just disagreeing with the values expressed in the game, it became important for some to show that the game had failed financially, and that was because of those values. The same way some are now championing Space Marine 2, not just because it's a fun or well-designed game, but in part claiming that it's fun and well-designed because it centers young men as the target audience. None of this would have particularly surprised anyone if it wasn't for Saber Interactive's own CEO appearing to join the debate. Matt Karsh, who founded the company in 2001, appeared to leave a comment on Asmongold's reaction video near the end of last week. It wasn't until Monday, September 16th, when a Space Marine 2 news account on Twitter recirculated the comment, that more people became aware of it. Those in the comments section instantly flocked to it, flooding it with upvotes and positive responses, fluctuating between things like, "You're doing God's work," and "I'm glad we got games failing hard that have pronouns in them, like who the fuck plays these DEI games." A lot of people probably just thought, yeah, Space Marine 2 rules, I miss couch co-op and not grinding battle passes, but for a contingent of the anti-woke gaming backlash, it vindicated the idea that one of the scourges of modern gaming is overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. All of this might have been easy to shrug off if not for a highly motivated and ongoing attack campaign against story consultants who, earlier this year, became the boogeymen responsible for every person of color and pride flag that showed up in a major game. I'm sick of this. I'm genuinely sick of it. I'm tired of every single time that we want to have a genuine conversation about concerns within the industry, games that have come out, games that are coming out, franchises that we've known and loved for years. Immediately, folks want to start flagging down Sweet Baby Incorporated. Look what those gamers are doing over there. I'm sorry, but my concerns, the concerns of my audience, Asmongold's and his, the people that resonate with these videos, they're not discounted because you have identity war LARPers over on Twitter that you disagree with. That's not how this works. From my perspective, there is a direct correlation between I miss couch co-op, there's too many battle passes and too much monetization in video games, and publishers and studios ham-fisting lazy, patronizing representation into video games. This isn't about bravery, it's not about morals, it's about money. They want inclusivity, all right. They want to include audiences that aren't playing their games right now so they can meet quarterly targets. So what they're doing is they're ham-fisting content into their game, representing audiences that they don't understand, alienating the audiences that they already have, and likely pushing away the people that otherwise would have been interested in the game. But you don't want to have that conversation. You don't want to talk about those kind of things. Instead, you want to take the easy way out, grab your gift bag of virtue and pat yourself on the back, but I'm not going to do that. Look, we didn't have any DEI conversations with Dion from Final Fantasy XVI, Body Type 1 and 2 in Elden Ring, Alex back in Half-Life 2, Admiral Anderson in Mass Effect. Why? Because those characters were well played, well written. They made the games better. That's what I want. Better games. The article concludes with, the YouTube account behind the comment had no uploaded videos and was only created in May of this year. The bio read, CEO of Saber Interactive, generic male of sorts, lover of loud guitars, violent games, fast cars, and all sorts of whiskey. When asked to confirm if the comment really belonged to Karsh, a spokesperson from Saber Interactive declined. Saber is not commenting on this matter, they told Kotaku in an email.
You son of a bitch.
So far, 2024 has been full of breakout action games that have eschewed some of the excess associated with open-world RPGs and grindy multiplayer games in favor of more streamlined and old-school feeling designs. And some, though not all, have been dragged into a culture war that seems to, not so secretly, be about entirely different things. Stellar Blade was a sci-fi Souls-light that became mired in controversy around sexy costume censorship. Black Myth Wukong was a fantasy action game in the mold of Ninja Gaiden that became a breeding ground for fake conspiracies around non-existent attempts to get the game canceled. And now Space Marine 2, a straightforward shooter campaign with crunchy combat and dazzling set pieces, has become the latest Rorschach test for what ails modern blockbuster gaming. There's extra irony in a Warhammer 40k game becoming that crucible, given its openly fascist world building and the fact that the owners of it had to repeatedly remind the more toxic corners of its fan base that Warhammer is for everyone. To the degree that Space Marine 2 doesn't impose morals on the player, it's only because the politics of its universe are so obviously bleak and abhorrent that regular people know to treat them as a grim, dark fantasy rather than a hero's parable for 21st century virtue ethics. There's another hit game that recently bucked modern blockbuster gaming trends, and it's Astrobot. There's no daily quests, crafting systems, or XP grinds in that either. Just a crisp, highly refined mashup of Super Mario Odyssey and Crash Bandicoot collectathon platforming. Weirdly, nobody seems to be obsessed with whether the cute little robot in the center of the game is a paragon of masculinity or secretly a vehicle for transmitting woke propaganda. Black Myth Wukong's fake conspiracies around non-existent attempts to get the game canceled. When Kotaku, as well as a bunch of different articles, a bunch of different outlets, were all parroting unconfirmed sexist allegations against game science, to what end? This is in your previews and your reviews. If I was a reader with no context, I wasn't in on any of these conversations, if I was a Kotaku reader, I would read that and think to myself, they're trying to tell me not to buy this game because they're bad people. What do you call that? Unless you didn't mean it. I actually have some respect for the writer because I think in some cases they were like on the right track, but they just fell off because they just get so wound up in identity politics. But there was one thing that really resonated, really struck a chord with me. To the degree that Space Marine 2 doesn't impose morals on the player, it's only because the politics of its universe are so obviously bleak and abhorrent that regular people know to treat them as grimdark fantasy rather than a hero journey parable for 21st century virtue ethics. Yet look at what's happened with other franchises. World of Warcraft, as an example, used to be dark, gritty, strong female and male characters. They had tons of different things where races had bridged the divide, got over their issues, got over their differences. Now look at it. It's softer than My Little Pony. It's not about the ethics. It's not about the morals. It's not about the diversity. It's about the quality of the product and how those things are imposed. There's nothing wrong with wanting things to be inclusive, but the problem is that the people that are doing these things lack the talent and the class to be able to do it and do it right. That's the problem. That's what I keep wanting to talk about. That's why I keep bringing it up. I want my games to be inclusive. I want everybody to play these games. I want everybody to be able to find characters that they love or feel characters represent them in some way. But I want it to be done right. And I'm sick of it being done wrong. Anyway, that's all I have for the video. Thank you, Kotaku, for writing about me and Asmongold and everybody else. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to get myself to... I'm actually going to play a little bit of Space Marines 2 tonight, actually. I also picked up Satisfactory and Ghost of Tsushima. So, might be seeing some videos on that kind of stuff lately. Soon, hopefully. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed it, share it with your friends. Like the video, comment on it. Subscribe to the channel. Grow my power. Follow me on Twitch if you want to catch me live. And I'll catch you guys next time. I'm out of words today. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
Family, 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 family.